Who's afraid of GNU? Well, that's the question in South Africa as the Govt of National Unity is yet to take shape or form. And at this hour, on the 29th of June, 1 month and a couple days afterwards, Cyril Ramaphosa is yet to announce his cabinet. Well, the Inkatha Freedom Party has urged the ANC and Democratic Alliance to put their differences aside and fast-track cabinet negotiations for the sake of the country. Now, this follows protracted talks, a number of stalemates, leaked letters hinting at strife between the two largest political parties, and claims by the Independent Line that the whole thing had fallen apart and collapsed just a couple days ago. I guess they got punked. Speaking at a press briefing in Durban in KwaZulu-Natal yesterday, Inkatha Freedom Party leader Velenkosini Hlabisa emphasized the need for the country to move forward to fill its governance vacuum. The whole country, voters, the continent of Africa, and the international community is looking at the president who has the power to make a decision. The country cannot be kept at a stalemate for too long. He continued saying, an agreement must be reached on a win-win that enables South Africa to move forward. In the service of our country, it is necessary for us all to put our own interests aside, electing rather to serve the common good. And what is good for our country at this critical juncture is to move forward with the work of governance. That's what he had to say. But honestly, folks, I think that things are fine in South Africa. No ministers means no legislative agenda or actions to crush liberty or advance Marxist or racist agendas of the political left. To me, that's a glass half full. Now, there are 10 parties in this unmanageable Government of National Unity, which is really just a coalition disguised as a Government of National Unity. So why the impasse? It all seems to be coming down to one ministerial post, if media reports and the leakers are to be believed. The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, or DTIC. Now, the ANC had initially apparently agreed to hand over DTIC to the Democratic Alliance, but internal ANC debates led the party to renege on that offer. The DTIC minister is responsible for a range of critical economic functions, including increasing the contribution of small, medium, and micro-sized enterprises to South Africa's economy, which it's failed to do, ensuring the implementation of broad-based black economic empowerment, or the racist BEEE agenda, across all sectors, increasing foreign direct investment, and expanding market access opportunities for the export of South African goods and services. Now, the Democratic Alliance is reportedly willing to drop its demand for 8 cabinet ministers and accept the ANC's offer of 6 if it can get the trade post. So it comes down to one position in cabinet. Why is the ANC so jealously guarding trade? The former Minister of No Trade, Ibrahim Patel, was about as dynamic as the cyanobacteria that surrounds the famous American geezer Old Faithful, though not even remotely as useful as that cyanobacteria in breathing life into South Africa's economy. What was Patel quietly doing, or more specifically, not doing to advance South Africa's trade prospects? Given the ANC's foolhardy recent foreign policy and poking its main benefactors and trade partners, the United States, its number 2 trade partner, and the European Union, its number 3 trade partner, in the eye, combined with anemic economic growth and sclerotic macroeconomic policy, it seems strange that the African National Congress would fight the Democratic Alliance for the trade post. The only province under DA control is the Western Cape, an economic paradise when compared to the rest of ANC-controlled South Africa. So what's really at play here, folks? Is it about covering up corruption? Perhaps. But the DA or any other party that's likely in a ministerial post is probably going to uncover unprecedented corruption in any department once they take over leadership there. Is it about the loss of the patronage machine? Now, this seems more plausible. Given the role of DTIC in ensuring race-based policies enrich a favorite class of South Africans based on the immutable trait of skin pigmentation, the ANC may genuinely fear the end of its racist policies will harm its future prospects. But they need not worry. Policies are one thing, legislation is another. The ANC and the rabid leftists in the MK and EFF have 256 votes in Parliament, more than enough to scupper efforts to use merit and abandon ANC racist policies. Is it about special deals for foreign benefactors? Are they trying to conceal dirty, corrupt deals with the Chinese communists that hand them exclusive economic zones for the benefit of Chicoms, not South Africans? Perhaps. Or is it ego? Is it as simple as an arrogant, defiant ANC unwilling to compromise for the good of South Africans? South African media, especially the IOL, have breathlessly reported that the DA is unreasonable. However, in asking for 8 ministers and almost nothing in the security cluster, which is shocking in itself, the Democratic Alliance is only looking for 26% of the 30 cabinet minister positions. That is closely in line with their 22% of the popular vote total. So how is that arrogant? In reality, the ANC needs the DA more than any other party and could easily have begun a new government weeks ago if the ANC itself were not so arrogant. 40 plus 22 equals 62. Done and dusted. ANC DA can run this country, the two parties alone. Now, ANC reluctance is most likely a combination of all these factors. However, surrendering trade to the DA is probably most galling because the ANC is no longer a multiracial party committed to all South Africans, but rather a party based on a victimhood narrative and black supremacy. Giving up trade could dramatically hamper their victim narrative and cost them dearly at the polls in 2026 and 2029 as merit-based employment becomes the order of the day. Well, will we get a deal? Yes, and soon, most likely. Glabisa had been quiet. However, his patience clearly has run out. In speaking publicly, he has, one, tamped down the irresponsible reportage from the Independent line claiming that the GNU was dead. And number two, he's applied needed public pressure on Ramaphosa to get the deal done. Glabisa, the adult in the room, has once again demonstrated that he is one of the few genuine leaders in South African politics. So all these factors may be a reason why we do not have a cabinet and there is no Govt of National Unity moving forward. Let's make this very clear from this point. The EFF actually is correct. The MK actually is correct. And I have been correct all along. There is no Govt of National Unity. That implies all parties participate. This is a coalition disguised as a Govt of National Unity because the ANC is incredibly weak. Make no mistake, the fact that they got 40.2 or 39.8, whatever the true number is, of the popular vote is not impressive. This is a party that lost 4 million voters. 4 million voters. No other political party even came remotely close to that total. The second highest party was the DA with 3.5 million votes, still a 500,000 short of what the ANC got last time. This is a party in terminal decline that desperately needs an agreement so it can stay in government and at least try to prove to someone that they're capable of doing something other than stealing and race baiting. They need the Democratic Alliance more than the Democratic Alliance needs them. They need an alliance, a coalition, more than anyone else needs it. And the arrogance of the African National Congress, which the media has failed to report on, is astounding. Astounding. Acting as if with 40%, they hold all the cards. The ANC holds very few cards, and their arrogance is what's holding up a government for the people of South Africa. But as I said at the outset of this video, hey, no ministers, no government. Things seem to be working just fine for most South Africans on a daily basis. They were miserable before, they're miserable now. They were wealthy before, they're wealthy now. They were poor before, they're poor now. Very little has changed and very little will change. So let's all take a deep breath and be grateful that the GNU is still floating around. That's not a good position for an ungulate to be floating around. Anyway, cheers everyone. Be sure to leave a comment behind if you like, and if you're not a subscriber, why don't you join us right here on the program. Thank you, and cheers.